Today's episode is a recap on She-Hulk, The Rings of Power, Andor, and House of the Dragon.
Welcome back to Lobby Concessionals, the movie podcast where nobody's right, everybody's wrong. We'll finally get that one day, smooth without having to think about it. I think Parker was doing it for months, and I still think he.
Oh, every time.
Time. If you guys want to like and subscribe, hit the old thumbs up button at the bottom there. That helps us out huge. What are we doing today?
We're looking at a TV recap because I think
it's a big month for TV.
It has been. Like, we were talking, and I feel like all of our movies have been sort of pushed aside because there's so much TV right now. So.
Yeah. So what do you want to start with first?
Do we want to just dive into She-Hulk, since I know Marvel is such a contender for?
You want to? Okay, let's do it. Let's do She-Hulk.
Okay. What did you, being the Marvel comic guy, like, what did you think?
Which is funny because, again, we've had so many discussions about the Marvel stuff and how being a comic book fan doesn't have anything to do with the MCU at all. Just at all. That being said, this was like ripped straight out of the books.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So obviously the noise on the internet is just
so much noise.
So it's a lot of negativity and a lot of it should be this, it should be that, and I'm like, I don't know if anybody's picked up a book, a She-Hulk, issue of She-Hulk in the last 30 years. Yeah, because it's spot on.
Okay, good.
It's spot on, and because of that, I was a big fan.
Good.
I think I have moments. Obviously, you take humor and you have to put it in a modern context. Yeah. So some of that stuff kind of flies over my head. It doesn't bother me. Some of it's cringy because I'm the old man yelling at the sky. Yeah. But I don't know that She-Hulk twerking is enough to make me not like the show.
That's fair.
It's
I cringed also.
But I get it. Yeah. I might not understand the modern ramification, like the modern whatever that is. Yeah. But everything else, I mean, it was one of the first MCU shows where I laughed. Okay. There were moments where I actually laughed.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a really, really big fan.
Good.
I know you were worried about it when the trailers and the first episode.
I have a hard time with fourth wall breaking, and especially when it's because it tends to pull me out of the show, and it takes me a second to go. Right. Okay.
Almost like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah, that I have to. But it also, I have a hard time getting back into it. So after they're done the fourth wall, I'm like, oh, right, we're going back to the show. And so weirdly, though, because Shakespeare, tons of monologues, and where I understand and can completely connect with my characters still. But especially in that last episode, like I think I really struggled at the start to be like, oh, we're doing this, okay, that's fine, I can do it. Like, I can handle it. And then I just died. Like, I was laughing so hard that it was great. So
it's when you saw Kevin's hat.
I was okay. I do have to suggest, if you haven't watched the finale of She-Hulk, do not watch it with subtitles, because there was a little bit of a spoiler in the subtitles. Was there? Yeah. So, and I always watch everything with subtitles.
We should probably tell everybody that this is going to be a spoiler-heavy episode.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Because it's been a little while. Like,
it's a full discussion.
Yeah, and we want to...
It's not just like a review.
And so if you're even debating watching these TV shows, like, maybe we'll just give you the push you need to get into it. So they put the dots in for Kevin. Like, they put K, period. So that's the spoiler with the subtitles. So I was sort of sitting there going like, what? Wait, that's weird. They're saying it differently. Like, what's and then but it was still a shock. It was still hilarious. It was still wonderful, and I think that sort of making fun of itself was just so good.
The self-awareness is really, really nice. Yeah. Which I enjoy. I also enjoy the idea that they went out of their way to address not just the criticisms, but then to like fix it within the show and not have the show do that.
Yeah.
The MCU shows have notoriously been like really strong for me, and then the last episode they shit the bed.
Right.
I usually end up like, oh my god, again with this last episode. Other than Miss Marvel, I struggled through the whole thing.
Yeah. Including the last episode.
Yeah. Well, the last episode was, I feel like, that's what it should have been the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But for this, I thought it was brilliant, and maybe the actual resolution of the end I wish could have been a little bit better.
Fair.
But I mean, I don't know how to get around that the way they did it. So
it's tough. Yeah. I think that's my biggest thing for the whole show, the whole season. It was like, you know what you are and you know what you want to do. Yeah. And I think that's big for a Marvel show, because sometimes I feel like they're a little confused, or it's so much that they have to connect with, like, oh, we're going to have to make a movie after this, so we need to make sure that we're ready for that.
Yeah, I love again, even that, being aware of it, and I love how gratuitous this was.
Yeah.
Like with Hulk showing up with his kid.
Oh my goodness.
Just like there. Yeah. And I was like, I really enjoyed the self-awareness of the entire show.
Yeah.
How were you with, I know a lot of the conversation online was, she's too sexy, or she wants to sleep around too much. Like, how does that go with you in terms of like looking for again a female lead? Like, it feels like a normal day in the life of a New Yorker. So I don't understand the complaint again. No,
I was stoked. Like, that she was just it was like a sexually aware show that, like, women also sleep around, or like they find relationships, and sometimes that first date ends with sex. Like, that's fine. And then also anything to do with oh my gosh, what's his name? Charlie Cox. Daredevil.
Nice. That's going to give us some clout.
Yeah, we got there. That was fantastic. Like, I was so excited for all of that to happen. And so I think for me, it was nice that the first sort of person to be very like sexually active, other than maybe Tony Stark, and even that it was only like alluded to, was a female, and I love that, because I think that is understanding that females do this too. Like, it's fine. Yeah, and I think you have to give them some credit for making a show about tackling trolls, knowing that that's exactly what they'd be up against the entire time. Well, and I forget what episode it was, but those were actual tweets from trolls on the internet. And so everyone was like, oh, did you see yourself in She-Hulk episode 4 or whatever? Just living up to the stereotype. It was so great. Yeah, and I think that those little things were just so amazing. So it won you over in the end. Yeah. I think, again, like, I'm always going to have a little bit of a hard time coming back in after a fourth wall break. And I think it was maybe because it was so often done around other people that I had a hard time. Like, it wasn't, I didn't feel like she isolated herself or it was so. You didn't grow up with Saved by the Bell, huh? I did. I used to watch Saved by the Bell all the time, but I don't know. There's just something. Like a legitimate timeout? That doesn't exactly. But it was, I think overall, like, I still enjoyed the episodes, and I was still happy with what they did, and I liked the inclusion of, I don't know, those fourth wall breaks really, like, I think because of the final episode, they really amounted to a great thing. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I think it's probably my favorite of the MCU shows. Yeah, that's fair. So maybe if you're like getting tired of the MCU shows, this might be a good one to it was nice. And Tatiana is so good. Oh, and actually that was I don't know her from, like, I never watched Orphan Black, and so you'd enjoy that a lot. Oh well, and now I think I have to go. I just never got on the bandwagon, but so now it's just showed me that I can really like her. Yeah, she's great. She did a good job. Yeah. Okay, I feel like with that, if you have anything else to add. No. Okay. I'll gush about it all the time. Yeah. If you can let me, so. Okay, people can message you, and you can just keep going. Oh, I'm assuming we're just going to get a ton of hate messages. Yeah, probably. How could you enjoy this? Well, just wait until we the rest of the things we got to talk about. We got other stuff. I feel like we should move into Andor, because that final comment of, like, this could be a good introduction back into Marvel with She-Hulk. Like, if you were getting bored, I think Andor is perfect for that for Star Wars.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
You nailed it.
Good. I was a little worried. I was like, oh, we're going to start talking about it and I'm going to just get yelled at.
No, we are going to get yelled at. Again, It's not from me, though.
Yeah, that's true. I can handle it.
It sounds like it's pretty positive.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think a lot of people have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's been getting some good track.
Yeah.
So my shock was that we're only halfway through. So I was like, oh no, we're especially after last week.
All the shows were ending and you just thought that was it?
I was like, oh, that's it. Like 6 episodes. That was a really good run. Oh, maybe one more. I thought maybe we had one more. And then I looked it up and was like, no, it's 12 or 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Like it is
it's
a
12,
while yet. Yeah. So I was floored by that because I feel like this has just been an intense and yet very anxiety-ridden 6 episodes. But also that it is just, it's exactly what I want, Star Wars. Like I wanted this earlier, I guess, and I was sad that we had to wait till now to get it.
Yeah,
but
it feels like it's almost 5 years too late.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Like as much as I have loved basically everything that Star Wars has put out, let's asterisk that, like almost loved everything. But I think I was even getting like a little, okay, I get it. Tatooine's great. For some reason, everyone loves it. And also I get it. Like I love Obi. I love all of the Jedi. I love seeing lightsabers, but I need something else. Like there is a vast universe of Star Wars that we can pull from.
Yeah.
Why do I get Skywalkers every time?
It's a really, really strange thing. It's been a long conversation with a lot of people, Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
About why I actually know a couple of people who don't like it. And that's surprising to me.
Oh yeah.
And the consensus is that it doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Oh.
And I was like, that's kind of why I like it.
That's fair, yeah.
I think we're so far beyond the idea of 3 movies or even 6 movies that tell one story. Yeah. So that we're so used to Star Wars feeling one way. Yeah. But it's kind of like the MCU now. It's an entire universe. So there should be pockets of Star Wars that aren't for everybody or made for somebody else. True. Kind of a thing. So I love the idea that this, and it's established in like the first 3 minutes of the first episode because it feels like Blade Runner. Yeah. And then it goes into the bar and then it feels like Tron.
And all the sci-fi and
but I love that. So it does feel like a sci-fi thing, not just a Star Wars thing, which I really, really enjoyed. And I think my love of the first season of Mandalorian is because it feels like a samurai film. It feels like a Western. Yeah. But it's still, at the end of the day, that's still a Mandalorian. That's a Yoda. That's a desert planet. Yeah. But here it's like, no desert planet. No. Nobody's even force sensitive. Yeah. Yeah. And the stormtroopers are like mentioned, but they're not there. Yeah. There are all these Imperial officers, but it's like a weird mid-level management, not just Tarkins and all these admirals and stuff. So it's like this weird group of people. Like it's a whole thing that you've never seen, even though it's put in a timeline of where we've been before. Yeah. It feels completely new and fresh. Yeah. And I love it.
I love that too. I love the we've taken over this sector as Imperials, but we're still sort of letting them govern themselves under the Imperial arc, and then realizing no, they're clearly not doing their job, so we need to be more involved. Yeah. But I think that's maybe I secretly like all the politics of taking over, being tyrants and taking over planets, but it's just it's such an interesting look at how the Empire has taken over. Yeah. And how it was just sort of accepted or not accepted, like these small pockets of rebels who are trying to come out, right? And I think that was a big, I liked the idea of Visions. So the show it was more anime style, and doing different episodes and looking at different characters. I really liked that to pull out of sort of the mainstream Star Wars. But even then, it was like, if it doesn't have a Jedi in it, we're not, or like a Sith, it's not Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so I just love that this is, let's see what the other people are doing. Like, what is happening in a world of Star Wars? Where
not just the world.
Yeah.
An entire universe, guys.
The galaxy and the universe of Star Wars, that when you don't have force powers, when you don't have a lightsaber, like, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
So I like it, yeah.
I also really enjoy the idea that nobody feels like a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even the rebels are all kind of sketchy, especially because we had talked about we reviewed The Bear a couple weeks ago, and Cousin's in there, and I just want to punch him. I just want to punch him.
You know, I was like, oh, we're getting so much of him, like
and you're getting so much of him, and I just every second he's on screen, I think he's gonna like just light up a cigarette and start a fight. And like
start making a sandwich.
And then he does.
I think, I was so excited to see that he was in it. I quickly noticed him in the trailer. And I was like, I'm pretty sure. And no one believed me. I was like, no, I swear. But I think that's the big thing. Yeah, like you know you're following Andor, and you know like he's supposed to be sort of the hero. Yeah. But it's like, no, he's not. He's got some moral questioning going on, right? He doesn't have quite the ethics, but also he's been put in a situation where it's kind of miserable, and like he needs to go against his government. Like, how do you handle that? And so I think, I love that they're not shying away from that they don't want to make him this like savior, protector, hero that everyone looks up to. It's like, no, if he has to kill someone, he has to kill someone.
Yeah, exactly. My only concern is the length.
That's fair. Like for the rest of the season or
just
episode?
As a whole so far. Okay. Like I love the first 6 episodes, but it could have been 5. Like I find like the last 3, the minute he lands on the planet, I think it feels like there's a stretch, and there's not, and it's weird because I like the character stuff that they're doing, but I found a lot of it wasn't character stuff.
That's fair.
And a lot of it was like just kind of there to seed doubt, which it worked. So maybe I'm talking in circles in terms of like whether or not what I appreciate or not. I think my issue with that heist is that if you and I sat down at a table, and I told you this is what we were doing, these are all the things that could go wrong, and then I'm gonna give you even more things that could go wrong, and then you were like, let's still do it. I don't know. Well, I have issues with that.
It still baffles me that it was only like this one person can drive the ship, and this one person can read where we're going.
Well, that's what I mean, right? Like here's the plan. Here are all the obstacles. And up until 2 days ago, we didn't have anybody to drive this thing.
Yeah. We were just gonna figure it out. Like,
you were gonna figure it out,
okay.
and then I took issue with the leader freezing, and I think it's a human moment, which I can appreciate, and being like, oh, if you're afraid of heights, then that's a thing.
Yeah.
But once again, I just think if it was a life and death situation or like this mission, my problem with the whole thing was that it felt like everything that could go wrong went wrong, and then more. Not just one thing or a couple things, and maybe her not being aware enough to maybe not be that position. All that stuff, that's all nitpicky stuff, but I just like, I wonder if that could have been one less episode.
That's fair. The entire time I was sitting there going like, oh my God, I can't believe we haven't gotten to the point yet. Like, how have we not actually done the heist? Like, how is this? But at the same time, those 40-minute episodes felt like 20 minutes. Or felt
they did feel short.
And it was like, I can't believe it's already done. I don't, I need more and I need it now. But also, I think that anticipation of ramping up to when it actually happened was great. Like, I think I was anxious for these characters. I was worried. And so I liked all of that. So I can sort of understand where, like, it could have been less, but I think they did a good job in making me want that next episode. Like, I was anticipating it, and I bet
you that 40 minutes will feel like 2 hours on a rewatch, though.
I wonder, now that you know what's coming up. And that's fair. I'd have to, let's rewatch. But I do want to say, I think their idea of putting the first 3 episodes out at once was really smart.
Yeah.
So I watched the 3
Sure.
Right away. And so having that, I think that would have been a little bit of a rough go if they had released those once a week, or even if they had just released the first 2, because that second episode to me like didn't feel like a lot. And so not having, like, I needed them to give me all 3 together in order to make it feel like this was going to go somewhere.
Right.
So I really appreciate that they knew that those 3 episodes needed to be together, and that they just did that. Like, that they were, here's the 3.
I think I did 4.
Oh,
because
okay.
I was kind of done with Star Wars, and like we were watching all these things. All of a sudden, it was like all of a sudden I had TV to watch.
Yeah, right.
Weekly, and then they're like, 3 episodes. I'm like, oh my god, 3 episodes. Like with Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan in the back of my brain, being like, I don't know if I want this. So I put it off, and so I think we did 4 at once, and I think that felt okay.
Good, yeah.
So I think you're right. I think the multi-release days, because I think the Marvel stuff sometimes they do.
Yeah, like the first day they'll maybe release 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I do like that, but sometimes it's not almost not necessary.
No.
Whereas for this, I was really like, yeah, you needed those 3 together.
Yeah.
And so that's what, if anyone, like, I have a friend who's been saying he doesn't want to watch it. And he's having an issue with Star Wars. So kind of the same, like, I don't know. I haven't watched Book of Boba Fett. I'm still only on, like...
And they haven't even watched the worst one.
I know.
They're burnt out. They haven't even got to the burnout point.
And they've only watched, like, 1 season of The Mandalorian, but they just sort of took a hiatus. And I was like, honestly, skip those 2 for now. Like, you can come back to them if you want. But Andor, like, just start.
And it has
watching.
nothing to do with the other ones.
Like, it's just a nice sort of reintroduction to some of the world, right? We go to Coruscant, like, we get some of the interaction. Mon Mothma looks... I want all of her outfits. Hot topic.
I absolutely knew it.
Yeah.
Just all the capes.
Yeah, seriously. More capes in my life are needed. Like, I'm just so mad at... But yeah, so I think, so if you haven't watched it yet, watch those 3 episodes together. I would say.
And like I said, like, if you're burnt out on Star Wars, this is the thing.
Yeah, I think this will. And so even if you don't watch the other things, like, you got this.
You don't.
Yeah, and then I'm excited to sort of. They have a plan, I think, is my biggest thing. So they've already talked about they're only doing 2 seasons. They already know exactly what they're doing, like the story arc. We know where it ends. We know where we're leading to. Which is sort of great. So it can be finite. It can just be this section of the world. And so or the galaxy, the universe. I'm really hoping they stick with that, because they've done such a good job so far, and not to surprise us with some...
Well, I'm not getting my hopes up until I see an ending.
I know. I can't. They're going to, like, just tuck someone in there.
If Luke shows up at the end of this, I'm going to be pissed.
If we touch 1 foot on Tatooine,
I'm out.
I'm just gonna blow up. So upset. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you were thinking for Andor that you want to?
No. And we'll probably come back to it.
Yeah.
Once it's done and ended, and we'll figure it. We'll talk about it as a whole, and hopefully it's still good things. Yeah,
I hope so too. I'm like, they've got me hooked, so I just want to stay that way. Okay. Next one, then. Rings of Power.
Want to do rings?
Let's do rings. Okay. Rings of Power.
This is going to upset a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, and I don't even know what,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know exactly what you're thinking. But...
Yeah, I know we did the first 2 episodes together.
Yeah. And
we both really enjoyed those first 2 episodes.
Yeah. The music was amazing. The scenery, the sets, like, I felt like it was back into the world. I thought the
fears were all gone. Like you saw that trailer. Yeah, could not have been worse. Could not have done a worse job of trying to convey what they were capable of.
Yeah, I think I didn't even watch the last trailer.
No.
Oh yeah,
I bailed on the behind the scenes stuff too.
Oh yeah, I don't do that. But I think even the second, like, whatever the second trailer was, I was like, okay, it's looking a little bit better. Like, I'm still gonna watch it.
Squinting through
yeah.
it. Like, maybe.
Yeah, should be okay. But yeah, so it is done now.
Yeah.
Totally finished. What were your overall thoughts?
Well, you just want me to go first?
Yeah, just so I know, and then I can...
So you can react accordingly?
Yeah.
I'll talk about the last episode by itself.
Okay.
But up until, like, and not to say that's a bad last episode.
No.
I really, really liked it.
Good. Okay.
Like, all of it.
Okay.
I thought there was going to be, when you have the big ensemble cast like that and multiple storylines, you're always going to have storylines that you don't want to, like, you just kind of want to burn through and you just want to get to this. And I found that wasn't the case. Like, I was invested in every little part of it. Yeah. And there was stuff, like, there was a couple of episodes in the later half where the Harfoots weren't there, and I'm like, I kind of want to,
like just a quick check in,
to see how everybody's doing. But yeah, I liked, I fell in love with the characters right away.
Good.
In the first couple of episodes, I thought they did such a good job with that stuff. And again, it's the Andor thing too, right? Where it's familiar but not. Yeah. It's Elrond, it's Galadriel, but they're like, it's all new. Yeah. It's all new. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah. That's great. Right. So that's a loose thing. I'm assuming we're going to... Yeah, we'll go into it. I felt the same way. Like, I was just really excited. I had sort of ignored all the haters for the first little while. And then I started seeing pop-ups of like what people were complaining about. And I was like, that is not that's stupid. You're like, sorry, but that was dumb. So there was a couple of issues where I was like, I don't get why so many people have hated this show. Right. Again, though, so many people have loved it that they've already started season 2 filming. Yeah. I didn't even know about the people that loved it. I have not come across anybody who's loved it. That's fair. Yeah. The haters are very loud. So yeah, I loved the whole thing. And I even with the last episode, like I still loved it. I think there was a couple parts where I was like, oh, okay, guys. But overall, like it was, I felt like it pulled me right back. I was happy to be in the world again. Yeah. Like I didn't have a problem. I'm so excited for season 2. I'm curious how many seasons they'll do, but at the same time, like I'm stoked. I mean, you have a lot of stuff to cover. Yeah. Yeah, like 3,000 years. Yeah. So. Yeah, in my mind, I figured each season would be, at the end of the season, a different race would make their rings. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Right? Okay. And the last season would be men. Sorry, the last ring. The one ring. Right. So yeah. I figured if that's the way they were building, that would be the easiest way for me in my mind. Yeah. Well, and then they could have another season with the war. Sure. And then, or even. Sure, that's where the $1 billion will go. Call us up. We'll write it for you. No shit. Well, and that's it. They are. So I do have to. I'm getting into season 2 now. I'm so excited. Yeah. They are cutting a little bit of their budget, from what I understand, and they are no longer filming in New Zealand. They've moved it into England for stage stuff. No, not stage though. They're still doing it like in the countryside. Oh, okay. So there is a part they leaked some photos from like Surrey, and they're in the rolling hills there. So it does look very nice. Yeah. And I don't think there's a big drastic difference. Like I think you can still get everything. I think they still had a lot of shots that were CGI, or sure. So it's not going to be too much of an issue. But I worry that I'll see the budgeting differences, but I'm hoping not. Like I'm hoping it's hopefully it won't be like Wheel of Time. Yeah. I still haven't watched it. Which I enjoyed for the most part, but it does look like it's filmed on like a stage in the middle of the street. I don't like that. Yeah. It does not feel epic enough. Like if you're walking somewhere, I need you to literally walk it. I need you to be Sean Bean walking up a mountain because you were too afraid of the helicopter. Anyway, so let's get into a little bit of it. A lot of it. Yeah. Okay. A lot of it. It's like, again, it's one of those things we could probably gush about it for an entire episode. Oh yeah. Well, and especially like we love Lord of the Rings, so it would be drastic. It'd be a lot of us talking. Where do you want to start?
how did you feel? So some of the issues I've had are with Galadriel as a character.
Okay.
Did you have any concerns?
I didn't until the last half.
Okay.
Near the last half. I think she was so good at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like she had a purpose.
Right.
She was actively going out to get her things, and I think once she got saddled with the mystery box.
Yeah.
And constantly having to go up against people who don't believe her. Yeah. I felt less and less inclined, and then she got stone-faced, and I think a lot of her emotions went away in the second half of the season. So she was less, especially when everybody around her was getting more emotional. Yeah, definitely. And getting a little bit more to shine, time to shine. Yeah. So I struggled with her in the second half of the season.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. There is a big age difference from Lord of the Rings, like to Rings of Power. So someone did the math, and she is, so in the Rings of Power, she's 3,422. Yeah. And then in Lord of the Rings, she's 8,382. Sure. So I found that, yeah, she was a little bit like immature, or she was very like rash. Like every decision she made, it just felt like she's like, I need this and I need it now, and you're going to give it to me. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is not the Galadriel I know. Like she is very cool, like calm, and then just intense, right? Especially reading your mind. I want to know like when that comes into or talking to you in your mind. So things like that where it's not the Galadriel we have, but also there's 5,000 years where she should theoretically be able to be a bit like she can get to that point. Sure. So I see her as almost like not a teenager. She's in her 20s. So like she's having a like she is going to be rash. She is going to just want what she wants and try to go for it. But also, I do want to see her sort of grow into more of a Lord of the Rings Galadriel where she does get more
regal.
Yeah. Maybe and maybe that's it. She's not the Queen of Lothlorien yet. Like maybe we're waiting for that. The Lady Galadriel, she's not quite there, but
it's also hard because again, I guess it's hundreds of years being told no. Yeah, I would wear it on somebody. Yeah,
like you'd start demanding things.
I'd get a little bit rash.
Yeah. And so there was a couple things like when they're in Numenor and they are
in Numenor, it was problematic.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest issue with her. But she's in the jail with Halbrand, and Halbrand's like telling her how to handle the queen. And I'm like, really, Halbrand? Feel like she would know how to do this. So there were things like that where it didn't seem like the Galadriel I know, but also like she's badass, she's strong, she's a great female character in my mind. Everyone's flirting with her, and I'm like,
rightfully so.
Yeah, like yes, but also do not. Like, you are better than this. So I do appreciate that. And the question I had from the very beginning was, where is your husband and daughter? Because you're supposed to be married.
She mentions them.
And then she does, and I was very excited. So, missing in action. Like, he fought the war, and then he's gone now. Yeah. So that made me happy, where I was like, okay, at least we got that little nod. She doesn't really know. We're okay here. We still have no idea about the daughter. But also, I do realize that they are adapting things. Like, they're not trying to do it exactly the same.
No, because I think that they've messed up the timeline already.
Yeah, I think there's some weird things.
Yeah, we did like a little look up, and there's a lot of condensing going on.
Yeah,
and a lot of stuff that. I also, in looking up the timeline, I didn't realize that the different types of men age differently.
Yeah. So like Numenorians versus
are like double the lifespan of a regular middleman is what they call them, and then apparently. Royalty like Dunedain guys are like double or triple.
Oh, that
the Numenorians.
Oh man, yeah, okay.
And I was like, okay, yeah, because I'm like, if Isildur is this age now, how?
Where are we going here? Well, that's this is a spoiler that like Isildur gets killed, and I'm putting that in quotes.
Yeah.
But then I kept making the joke, or my group that I was watching with kept making the joke about they're gonna have like Isildur number 2, and he's gonna come out of there.
But they could.
They really could, and
it could be Isildur the 4th.
Yeah, it's a rough time of this. But yeah, the everything's a possibility at this point.
Yeah.
And I read an article with the creators, so Patrick McKay and JD Payne. And they did say that they wanted to have some surprises for the people that are diehard fans of Tolkien. So not using, like, Sauron goes by many names. So theoretically, he could have been anyone that we've interacted with. So having that, they didn't want to pick a name that had been used previously, that people would know. So they were trying to give a little bit of surprise. And I do think it tricked the internet, because everyone was just like, this guy's Sauron, this guy's Sauron,
oh yeah,
this girl's Sauron. And I was like, yep, okay, sure.
Well, let's get into that part a little bit, because I think that was my issue with the last episode.
Fair.
Was the reveal.
Okay.
I am notorious on this show and in every show about hating mystery boxes.
Fair. Yeah.
Hating them.
Who could
Unless
it
they're
be?
like, I just fucking, I don't care. I just don't, just tell me a good story. And this is where okay, so you went so far out of your way to hide this thing well.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of the other stuff weird.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, if this guy was Sauron the entire time,
yeah,
it makes the raft shit
strange.
Strange and less believable.
Yeah. Well, and it also just seems like he didn't want to exist. Like, or like he was like, I was happy to stay in Numenor. I was happy to not have anything to do with this. And it was like, okay,
and
but
people are gonna come back at us and be like, well, that's just him being manipulative. I'm like, no,
I think he truly was like, never mind, Middle Earth's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the feeling that I got. So and it was also weird because, again, they spent, how many episodes was this thing? 10? 9?
Oh no. Yeah. No.
8. It was 8.
8. Yeah. 8.
They spent 7 1/4 episodes being like, who is Sauron?
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was like, hey guys, I'm Sauron. like really obviously, you know, like the minute he starts to do the ring stuff, it's just like nothing but side eye and like winks to the screen, and I'm like, what is happening? They just gave up.
Yeah.
They just gave up at the last episode. It wasn't even subtle.
Well, and it's also like, hey, master craftsman who's built so many things and so amazing. Have you heard of alloys? Have you? Can I just come in with my knowledge? It was a little rough where I think that was maybe not as thought through as well as it should have been. But and also, I think everyone guessing who Sauron is the whole time, it was like, whoever it is at this point, like, it doesn't even matter because it had to be someone. Like, who cares?
I'm assuming you're mostly upset because now the hottest guy in the show has to wear a mask.
If he puts that helmet on any earlier, I was so glad it was like a reflection in the river as opposed to actually wearing it. So I'm really hoping that until he makes his ring, he can just be beautiful for the rest of it. Oh man,
that was my first thought when he was like, I go by many names. I'm like, she's gonna hate the idea he's gonna put that mask on.
Don't do it. Keep your face. Oh man.
The world building, which is I think something we don't get a lot of in the movies, obviously, and maybe not the books as well. Mm-hmm. But to spend time with the elves and the dwarves and to actually see the politics of how that stuff works, I thought it was great. Yeah. Especially the dwarf stuff. And I'm not a big dwarf guy, usually, for most fantasy things. But those characters are great. Yeah. And that setting, obviously, Moria is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I love seeing it in its heyday. And that also really frustrated me because I was like, you gave me 2 seconds of a Balrog and that's all I get this season. But I really loved that dynamic. I didn't think I could love anyone as much as Gimli and Legolas, but having Elrond and Durin the second, I guess, or whatever, the 100th, who knows. That was just so adorable. And I was tearing up at some points. Like it was.
Oh, Elrond is so good.
He is. I was worried
because he looks weird.
He looks like an 80-year-old man. I've realized.
Sometimes.
Yeah, if you just took out his face, or like his low.
He looks like he's gumming his
mouth. Yeah, there's something strange. But he's also cute. Like he's got a cute to him. Yeah,
you can see it.
I'm curious what he will look like when he's old, because I think that
hair is gonna look stupid on him.
Yeah. I also love that Celeborn, Lord, like the king of the elves, is a very southern, like South Carolina actor and accent, and just doing this like sort of British accent, but I can hear it. It's in there. Watch some Nicholas Sparks movies if you
of course
want to know who he is. It's bad, but anyway, I do love everyone that they've chosen for.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with any of the cast.
No, I don't think so either. Like I think, my only issue with the last episode is that we did not get any Arondir, because I needed some of those beautiful eyes in my life for that last episode. Like I know we sort of fixed that story was done, but I'm sad.
Maybe so you get a whole second season of eyes.
Just be so nice. And that was the other big issue. People were freaking out about Harfoot's, like that there were black actors in that, and that the Queen of Numenor was a black actor. Like people were just
silly,
going crazy. Yeah. And then of course, like if we look, the Harfoots, Tolkien said that they were supposed to be of browner skin, so it makes sense. Like it's just so ridiculous to me that we're still having this argument in 2022. But
it's stupid, and I love the Harfoots so much.
I do too.
Man, I'm so sad they split them up.
I know. It's gonna be hard because
right up until the end, I thought Poppy was gonna just run. I thought she was just gonna run and join them. But I also like the idea that she'll be our viewpoint to the Harfoots.
I'm really hoping that they do, like that they go back to her, that they get involved some way. Like that would be great. So that was actually one of the problems as well, was that the Harfoots were sort of the Irish contingent.
Sure.
And that putting, like the English people do, they tend to put the Irish into like lower class citizen positions. So that was a little upsetting too. And I was like, oh no, I just thought that main girl was Irish, and like so the actress that played Nori, no, she's Australian. So so I do see some concerns, and that was my thing. Like you can't just, they are the races of elves, dwarves, men, and so to actually separate them in races like the earth is, it wouldn't really make sense, right? Like we can't have so I appreciate that they did just put, like they hired actors for the job and they put whoever it was in there, and it worked.
Now we've done that episode where we recast Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Which was problematic for you.
Yeah. It really hurt.
And during that, we all agreed that the one role that was probably not recastable was Gandalf.
Yeah.
How do we feel about?
Yeah. David Wayman.
And we're just going to say that.
Daniel
and
Wayman.
They don't say it, but we're just going to say it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Because we're not stupid.
And they were like, you're the Ishtari. And then, and you're wise one. Or
yeah, and you're talking to flying things.
Yeah.
And just like, okay, Gandalf.
Yeah, sure.
How do you, what do you, we don't see a lot of him in terms of speaking until the later episodes.
Yeah.
But how are we feeling about him so far?
I sort of like that he's this unsure of his abilities, but also seems to have like an understanding of I can do things with the earth, like I can make the wind, or I can grow the trees or whatever. Like I do like that aspect. It seems so much more natural.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit of a, are you a bad guy? Like, do you not remember that you're supposed to be bad? Like this is crazy. But then I'm curious to see where they go, because it felt like a large jump from the stranger at the beginning to the stranger at the end.
Yes.
And I don't feel like that.
The awakening part is not done smoothly or well.
It seemed really drastic. Yeah. So I appreciate that they're going to find out more information about him and like prune. I don't know.
Are we upset if they pull the wool over our eyes and it's not Gandalf at this point?
If it was okay, so there's supposed to be like 2 blue wizards or something like that. And so if it was one of those, I think that would be really cool. Sure. But right now it's like, okay, you're either Gandalf, Radagast, or Saruman, or you're totally random, which like would be interesting. So I think out of those 3, like I'm pretty positive it's Gandalf, considering what they've said and repeated. But if it was one of the blue wizards, like I'd be so down to see what they
I'd be down.
Who they are.
I think this is where we're toying with the history of it, right? Like in my mind, when I think of some of the scenes in Fellowship, where he basically leaves the Shire, rides a horse all the way to the library to find these scrolls about the ring. I'm like, but if you were there the whole time, do we need? Or maybe it was so far you forgot. I don't know how memory works in Tolkien. Like I was asking somebody the other day, I'm like, at what point, if you're an elf, do you start forgetting faces? Yeah. Or do you just remember? It's not a thing.
Do you just have a perfect memory as well? Because jeepers.
That's fair. But it would the Gandalf thing makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. But at the end of this thing, I would love somebody to sit down and in the history of Gandalf and tell me how many hobbits he's displaced or hoodwinked. Because it seems to be a calling card at this point.
Is that why you just keep going back? Like that's why you grabbed Bilbo? And that's why you grabbed Frodo? Because you're like...
He feels like a used hobbit car salesman. Yeah. Just constantly talking these dudes into the worst ideas possible.
You know what you want to do? You want to go on an adventure.
Leave this home, which you do nothing but talk about lovingly, and you never want to leave, but I think you should. Yeah,
but hear me out.
I'm not going to offer you anything. No. Just the idea of adventure.
Yeah. This is what you want. Oh, man. Speaking of that moment of like when Nori leaves, I'm very happy the stepmom was just like super kind and was like, you need to do this. Like, this is for you. But also that they were all like so supportive of her. I know at the beginning it was kind of like, oh, I don't think we're gonna. Yeah. But now, like, it's just such a cute community and it's so great.
And I'm excited to see obviously how that Shire stuff takes place. Especially because like with Poppy at the map and the upside down. I'm like, nice. Yeah.
Poppy, maybe you should just take over for a little bit here.
I love it. Yeah. But, I hope we get more Poppy and Nori.
Yeah, I do too. There are technically 2 other like races of hobbits. Oh. Or sorry, so Hobbit, if you go back, like was branched into 3. Sure. So the Harfoots were 1, and then there was the Stoors and the Fallowhides. If I'm mispronouncing, I'm sorry. You can tell me how to pronounce it. So it is a long ways before we get to, because those 3 sort of have to combine to get to the point of hobbits. So we are a ways out. So we might not see hobbits like we know for a while. But I think it'd be kind of interesting to meet those other groups as well. So I don't know. And again, like they have a long time for this show. Like they want to do multiple seasons. They want to do a lot. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with it.
It feels strange to me because obviously the money's behind it, and obviously they've done a lot of things well. Yeah. But it also feels like there's moments where you can tell everybody feels too new at the TV game. Yeah. It's like we had the big Balrog reveal. Yeah. But I think it was like 2 episodes before there was a shot of a guy fighting a Balrog.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that seems like a waste of a reveal. Yeah, yeah. And then to have this huge sweeping thing into the caverns and then the Balrog, I'm like, well, we saw him already. Yeah. So it's weird stuff like that. And obviously the way they've handled the Sauron reveal and the way a bunch of other things get taken care of, the Gandalf. Maybe not Gandalf stuff. So I wonder if that's just, learning woes or something like that. But it feels like they're lucky that they cast well
Yeah.
They're lucky they have money, and they're lucky that it's come off as well as it has.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a big note, that it is, I really hope that if they haven't already, they are going to plan the next couple of seasons to get, or like they should have a clear understanding of what they want to cover and where they want to end. Because I think that's the big, and that's why, going back, Andor is so amazing to me, because they have 2 seasons planned.
Yeah.
And
it's
they're
almost like planning helps.
Yeah. It's almost like having plot and
or
like
a vision.
Yeah. Everyone should just make their vision boards of the seasons. But I think that's the biggest thing, is like, you want 4 seasons, you want to end it at this point. Yeah. If you realize you need an extra season to get to that end point, that happens. Totally cool. Yeah. Great. Like fork over the $34 billion. Fine. But if the idea so far is that you can get to 4 seasons, you know exactly where you want to go, like I really hope they've planned it that way, because they did talk about in this article that I read, the creators were saying that they're reading comments that people are giving them.
Oh,
but they're not.
No.
Well, yeah, I was like, because this was a Game of Thrones issue.
Yeah, it was.
Don't subvert my expectations. Give me what I want. But the concern, the one guy said, like, we're sort of looking at them, but obviously that's not changing our minds drastically of what we're going to do. And then the other guy was like, I do not care what people say. So I think they might be a good mix of like,
hopefully they can talk it out.
Yeah, because I'm like, you have the works. Just go back to Tolkien at any moment that you are unsure. Like, right. Do not listen to internet people. Go to Tolkien.
Or else it's just going to be a war of Balrogs.
Yeah. Don't get my hopes up. Honestly, I'm so mad we didn't just start with Morgoth and all the Balrogs. So it's beside the point. Yeah. I'll get that eventually when I'm 50.
Well, I'm excited to see all the hate mail we're going to get for loving She-Hulk and Rings of Power.
I know, right? Like, I feel like it's gonna happen. Our final thing was House of the Dragon. We're not done yet, though. Like, we still have one more episode.
Is there one more?
Yeah. Can
we do a quick aside real quick? Because I don't. You probably watched it, and I probably watched it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I watched it.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night. Just a really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Just because it's a short. I just want to say how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big. I love the Marvel horror stuff from the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's a weird time to sit and think that. When I was thinking about me in high school, if I went back and we were like, hey, one day you're going to get a Werewolf by Night show and Man-Thing's going to be in it, I would have immediately not believed my future self and be like, you're a fake.
Yeah. Why would
there's
you lie?
Lies and then there's what you just told me. I thought it was wonderful.
I was really happy with it as well.
It's so good.
I love Gael Garcia. Oh, it's there.
It's there.
Yeah, we know it. But yeah, he's just absolutely fantastic. And then I was a little hesitant because I was like, oh, black and white. I don't know if people need to do this. But because they had so much violence and because it was so bloody,
it's so good to hide. It's the smartest way to hide it.
And I was like, it's not going to be as bad. Black and white's good for that. But also, like, this is violent. And I'm so impressed that they went this route. They went the way. Yeah.
And you could hide it with hide all the blood.
It was perfect.
It was really smartly shot.
Yeah.
And it was, I didn't realize it's Michael Giacchino.
Oh, yeah.
The composer.
The composer. I know. And he didn't even, from what I understand, he didn't even compose the music for the show. He was
too busy crushing it.
Direct. So good.
It's just smart stuff. The black and white to hide the blood.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the transformation sequence was brilliant in terms of like not having to show and spend the money on an actual transformation to do it. With the shadows and again with the black and the white and the flicker of the candles, I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah. It was such a nice, I don't know, reminiscent, nostalgic viewing of, like, I love the 1939 Frankenstein, or like I love the old Werewolf. Like, it was just so good. So I think having that connection to those was.
What was there? Quick thoughts on them going to color at the end?
I wondered if it was we might pull this character to do more, because I have heard some rumors that like they might people might show up. We might
Sure.
see more of them. So I was wondering if it was just to sort of give a understanding that it could come back to our real time.
Fair enough.
But I'm a big, like, having that one pop of color in something to sort of show.
That was the stone, right? Like, I thought that was really smart. Again, a really smart way of doing it.
That was really, I loved that. And so I think there wasn't enough of the color to be there. Like, it was okay that it wasn't very long. Like, I think if they had done it any earlier than when they had put it in, I would have been upset.
Yeah.
But I think because it was just so short at the end there, it was.
I guess so. It weirds me out because, again, you made the conscious decision to have that setting.
Yeah.
And to put it in color, I didn't think there was an actual creative choice for it.
That's fair, yeah.
And so if we were to go back and do more of these things,
yeah,
I wonder if it would now feel silly to be in black and white again because we've seen them in color now.
Yeah. Well, and that's I always sort of wonder that because I like it as a nod to the old to be black and white, and so it is sort of weird that they would choose that. But again, I wonder if it's just to be like they exist in this time,
which is a pretty fair fair reason to do it. But it was I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I want more of it.
I do too. That would be great. Yeah, and again. It's not the Avengers. Like, great. We have some other people.
And here. I like the commitment level is low. Yeah. I like it as a one shot. Yeah. I don't know that as much as I liked it there, I don't know if I wanted 6 to 10 episodes of that.
Yeah. It was a great, like, I think just an hour or something.
And it was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
Definitely a good Halloween movie.
Love it.
To watch.
Probably going to put it on there all the time.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, House of the Dragon isn't done to go back.
I am.
Tell me how you really feel. So yeah, the Game of Thrones spinoff that's set 180 years before. Yeah. So clearly.
Okay, well
here's
the thing. I bail after episode 4.
Oh, you did? You're like you haven't watched.
I was done. I was bored.
Okay.
I could care less.
Yeah.
And it was to me it's whatever this episode I'm gonna get a bunch of hate mail and messages. It felt like all the worst parts of Game of Thrones to me in terms of manipulating an audience.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So I think we can talk about the first couple episodes because and then you can take over.
Yeah.
And I'll roll my eyes.
Yeah.
I thought I think after the debacle of the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. I say last couple of seasons. Usually people are like, the last season. I'm like, no. It's like 6 through 8 are shite.
Yeah.
So it looks like these new showrunners come on and be like, well, what worked for Game of Thrones? And so they took those and were like, we'll just do what worked, but we'll turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it because I like some of that stuff. Like I'm not a complete Game of Thrones hater.
Right.
I think seasons 1 through maybe even 4, but 1 through 3 might be some of the best TV ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I love those books since I was 15.
Yeah.
But watching this is just like nobody is saying anything with any meaning. Mm. Everybody is shady and duplicitous for what seems to be like no reason at all.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking in riddles.
Yeah.
Just again to kind of hype up some kind of a weird thing that's not a thing at all. Like it's just you sit at one of those King's Councils meeting and everybody's talking but nobody's saying anything. And it was so frustrating. Like everybody has a hidden agenda. Yeah. Everybody down to like the housemaid.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it's kind of and they don't lead to anything.
Yeah.
Right. I think the last episode I saw was the Valerian guy talking to a shadowy figure at a fireplace, and it's Daemon. Oh no! I didn't see that coming.
Wow. Yeah.
I was like, God damn it, the show. And it just felt like Game of Thrones, but they were being even meaner to women.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where like the reason I watched was for Rhaenyra, or at least the actress, because I thought she did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, she's not here anymore. And I'm like, bye.
That's it.
And that was the other thing is I struggled with a lot of the characters because motives and everything in terms of in a Game of Thrones universe, that's dialed all the way up.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there were good guys and bad guys. It felt like everybody was shades of gray, and not in a good way that I could like.
Not in like a human way.
Not like a human way that I could attach myself to and like root for, even if there was to me there was a very clear no point of view character.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't do it. Yeah. This is just, I'm frustrated while watching it. It's 55 minutes and I'm just miserable.
Yeah.
So I'll just get the recap from Alison.
Here I am. I was talking to Parker about it, and he had a issue with, because they do jump around age-wise. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big thing too, like leaving the young Rhaenyra, who's played by Millie Alcock.
Yes.
So she's gone. It's 10 years later, and we have Emma Darcy. So he mentioned, and especially with like the younger kids, so like the grandkids basically, or Viserys' other set of children, new children, it's hard to have any connection to them because the time jump, you don't really get to spend a lot of time with the kids anyway, because royalty, you never spend time with your kids. But so it's sort of hard to like, I don't give two craps about Rhaenyra's children, or Aemon's like Alison's second batch of children. Like I care nothing about them. And so really I'm only in it for Alison and Rhaenyra and like their head to head.
Sure.
Because I'm so happy that we are sort of focused on two female characters, but then also female characters that can't really do a lot, because like the men have to control the situation, like, but also they're making decisions, they're having to do things and like pull people in, or who's the best person to be with them, that kind of thing. Like I like all of that, but yeah, the kids, I'm like, I don't care any about these children,
and there's a lot of them,
and so this penultimate episode before the finale this Sunday, the child, or like they sort of focus around Aegon and Aemond, which is Viserys and Alison's two boys.
Sure.
So Aegon, they're trying to put on the throne, right, over Rhaenyra. And yeah, so most of the episode is about these kids, and I'm like, wow, I just do not care.
But
like,
you stuck with it.
I did, and you know what? I think I still like the feeling. Like I still like. I like the conversations. I like where they're, I want to know where they're going to go with it. Yeah. I want to know the alliances. Like, I'm curious, even though we don't get the same, like, this is house blah, blah, blah. This is house blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't have a billion houses you have to remember, but at the same time.
It's a billion new ones you have to remember.
Yeah, exactly. That is, I'm like, who's this guy? And it's like, nope, you've never met them. You've never known their house.
Put on pause while I go get my scrolls.
Yeah. Let me open the book to the front page again and go through everyone. So yeah, and I feel bad because I think the kids are doing a good acting job. Like, I don't blame the actors in any way. I
actually quite enjoy the cast.
Yeah, like I think, again,
other than Matt Smith's hair.
Okay, let me just.
I like the new hair.
Yeah.
The old hair is black.
Well, and I think I've seen so many like videos and memes about people, like the time jump and being like, okay, Alison and Rhaenyra, age 10 years, we're gonna get new actors in, fine. The kids, we're going to age half of them by 3 years and the other half by 10 years. And so they look completely different. And then for Daemon, we're just going to cut his hair and then we're going to make him grow it back. And that's it. Because he does not look any different. And of course, my sexy man, Sir Criston Cole, has not aged one day. In the like 16 years that this show has spanned.
It's that water.
That man, whatever he's doing, keep it up.
Share the secrets.
Yeah, that righteous, I don't know, whatever he is. But oh man, like the age range.
Do you need a moment?
Yeah, I think just gotta go. It is just, but like, it's been hilarious. And so I think that's my main downfall is I understand that you didn't want to do like like you didn't want to have it so late that you couldn't you didn't have any connection to these characters when they're vying for the throne, and I get it, but at the same time, like, it really has been a struggle to connect with anyone. But I think Rhaenyra and Alicent, like, I'm still for them, so if they're in the episodes, I'm happy.
Does it have you read the book? Did you read the book?
I have not. So maybe that's why I'm more happy, but I've heard
the book sucks.
Yeah, like, I've heard it's a history.
The book sucks, and I think it's like an expedited version of everything we're seeing.
Oh, that's
which
good.
Makes it feel the show feel more manipulative.
Yeah,
because especially because I think they're. So this is a different type of spoiler.
Yeah,
especially because it feels like they're forcing you to enjoy certain characters.
Yeah, like pushing you to be.
So knowing how those characters, and maybe they'll change it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll change it from the book, but knowing how those characters end.
Yeah.
I'm like, this show sucks.
Yeah. Well, and that's my biggest thing is they mention the Song of Ice and Fire a couple times. Yeah. They mention like a Targaryen needing to be on the throne, and that like the big bad will come eventually, and like we need to be united. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, we need to be united. We need to have a Targaryen. Yeah. Is that going to happen? Because you know what didn't happen? All of what you just said. Like, you know what was absolutely awful? All of that. So anytime they like make references to the show, the old Game of Thrones show, I'm like, no, you guys are shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. Like, separate yourselves. Do not be the same, because this is
especially because you're so far out, too.
Yeah. And, like, you have 200 years. Also, you could just keep doing Game of Thrones and, like, cover the 200 years and then remake the
What would they need to do to lose you at this point?
I don't know. Like, I think I was so happy to have another Game of Thrones that I could maybe rest some of my, like... forget the previous issues and just come into a new thing. But I think I'm entranced by the world. I love King's Landing. I love the Red Keep. Like I love Dragonstone. Dragons. Oh, if they just sorry, that's it. Dragons. Reminded myself what the show was really about, which is dragons. As soon as they're like, we don't have dragons anymore, because I'm that must be coming up. Like I feel like they're gonna be like, remember when we had a fight and all the dragons were dead? Yeah, this is what happened. As soon as those dragons are there, I think I'm gonna have a really hard time. So we've had like a glimpse of dragons, I think, in almost every episode, and that has been enough.
They look better than they used to.
Me. Yeah,
I'll give you that.
And just how different they are, because I think they were pretty similar, the three like dragons that Dany had. So to have these new and different and like strange giant creatures has just been fabulous. And just that so many people have dragons, I think is also I'm like, it's not just one chick, it's multiple people. So I think that has really made me happy. So if at the end of this season there are no more dragons, I think I'll maybe give it a pass. I say that, but that's not true. I'm gonna watch it. But
I'm just like lying to me right to my face.
If Sir Christian Cole does not look exactly as he has looked in this whole...
If a dragon takes to his face.
Yeah. And if I have to look at that face, no, I'm out. Oh, man, it's just so funny, though. Like, I don't understand. Age him up a little bit. Do something.
I think the issue I have with my show, and I think the mindset that I have compared to everybody else, is that when I went into it, I wasn't looking to get... I wasn't looking for redemption for the old show.
Yeah.
But the mindset I had was the showrunners, the new show, had to win me back.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was going to give them a chance.
Yeah. But
they had to win me back actively, and they just didn't within the 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, that's and I totally get that. And I think that makes sense. Like they especially with all of the mention of Song of Ice and Fire, I was like, you guys needed to pull yourselves away from that. Yeah. And because and HBO has just doubled down, which is shocking to me. And so, it is rough, because you're like, either you're going to remake the show or you're setting me up for failure, because this was terrible.
And obviously I'm going to sit here, but like I I will watch they're going to keep making Game of Thrones shows.
Yeah.
In spite of themselves.
Yeah.
And I will try all of them.
Yeah.
But at some point...
So what you're telling me is you are super excited for this Jon Snow show that's coming out.
Oh, God. They have 20 minutes. They don't have 3 episodes. They don't have 1 episode. They've got 20 minutes, and I am out.
If it is not amazing in those 20 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah, I could not have picked... they could not have picked a worse thing to keep doing.
Oh, it is mind-boggling to me. Like, I just don't understand how they could choose to do... Like I don't get it.
I get it that maybe Kit couldn't find work.
Yeah. He's in Marvel. He should be fine. I guess that didn't do very well either.
There's a common denominator.
Yeah. Sorry. Common denominator of how gorgeous he is. Yes.
Damn it.
Yes, he is. You are correct.
Fine.
Yeah. Well, that's all the TV really, but we'll touch base when Andor and House of the Dragon. I guess maybe.
The theme of today is if it's everybody's hot, watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That is the case. Yes. Gorgeous.
Let us know how wrong we are.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
it feels like compared to everybody else in the noise, we have a different take than I think most everybody else here.
Yeah, maybe we just for some reason have liked all the things we've watched other than for you House of Dragon, but I have enjoyed all of these things so far. So
it's amazing what you can do when you have an open mind when you watch things.
Oh, I know. Shocking.
Shocking.